clear out.
My name is Sergeant Eddie Wright. I've always wanted to be a Marine ever since I was a young child. I think the first time I saw Marines is what cemented it in my mind. I was riding my bike with my dad, who was doing his morning jog. Must have been about 5 a.m. and at the time he was stationed down in San Antonio. He was an Air Force officer. And so we were on Lackland Air Force Base, and there was a platoon of Marines running in formation, singing cadence. Over the next week or two, we would see them in the morning, and one day they changed up their running cadence and gave me a shout out, which I thought was amazing. So I was just like, I'm gonna be a Marine. What about a minute into it, I had enough time when they started firing at us. I had enough time to real quick on the radio give out, contact, right, the direction and distance. And I threw that handset down and just started dumping with my saw because the rate of fire, the volume of fire coming at us was just incredible. We were getting shredded. I can't believe I didn't get shot in the face, which is what I was expecting because the bullets were snapping by my ear. By this time, the whole platoon is engaged in some way or another with their own battles in their own areas. They were volley firing RPGs, so I kept hearing these explosions. And I remember thinking to myself, ooh, I hope the vehicle behind us is okay. Because I didn't see the RPGs, I just heard them exploding. But what I didn't realize is they were aiming at us, and they were missing. And it's funny, if you see an RPG go across the road at a distance, you can see it. It looks like a bottle rocket, but when they're coming in right at you, you don't see them. They're coming in fast. And that's when I got hit with the rocket-propelled grenade. It hit the saw that I was holding, my gun. And it came from the area that I was going to suppress, but I didn't want to shoot my teammate's gun out of his hand. So I thought I got shot in the face at first, because that's what I expected. And a lot of thoughts ran through my mind in a split second, like, I guess I'll see what it's like to die. And I remember worrying about my family I would leave behind, that they would miss me. And then all of a sudden, like a great clarity and understanding came over me, which is hard to put into words. I realized that it was okay, that the time in my mind, thinking about all the time that would pass before my loved ones would see me again in heaven, or wherever I was, it was okay. Like, it didn't matter. Nothing on this earth mattered that I worried about. Even questions you have, you look for answers. Even the questions don't matter. I was, for just a brief moment, and this is all happening in just a few seconds, I realized, wait a minute, I'm not dying. My vision came back to me, and I was in a lot of pain, and I lifted my left arm. I lifted it like this, and I looked at it. And I thought to myself, damn. And it was just a pulpy mess, but my right hand hurt. And I lifted it up and I saw that my right hand was gone. And I thought to myself, damn, both of them. And they pulled me out of the back seat, and my leg bends like where the bone is fractured, where my femur is broken and jutting out. And I said, ow. And, they laid me on a stretcher, and I remember Doc was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, I'm good. I was just happy that I had decorum, and I knew I was going to be all right once our Doc got to me. They loaded us all up on the helicopter, and I remember vividly watching them bring in Captain Brent Morrell, and I knew he was in trouble because he was white as a sheet. He was already redhead and pale-skinned, but this I could see was not good, and I knew he probably wasn't going to make it.
Joseph Michael Morrell. I go by Mike.
Paulette
Smith Morrell, and I go by Molly Morrell.
Adventurous. He and playful. His sport was golf. He was competitive, very competitive at it. His other sport was martial arts. He was a serious Marine too. He was serious about his being a Marine.
He cared about people, disadvantaged people. He would help anybody that he could. And we heard a lot of stories that we'd never heard while he was alive. How kind he was and the things that he did for them that meant so much to them. And that was something we always knew he was kind, but we just didn't know the depth of what he would do.
There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal.
That it is just a season, and that God's going to open other doors. And he did. And it's been a blessing for us to meet other Gold Star parents, and we've met hundreds, I would say, over time. But in all that time, we had never met another Recon Gold Star family until we were invited to Hawaii by the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation. And we met 3 other families, and we still keep in touch on Facebook, and on those special days that we want to remember their sons and they want to remember ours, we keep in touch. And that's meant a whole lot to us. And to have the Marine Recon Foundation as family as well, along with all the volunteers that make it work, has just extended our family into a huge family. And that's also been a blessing that I know Brent's smiling because he knows his Recon family that he loved and that he was so proud to be a part of are looking after us.
Well, first joined the Marines, went to boot camp down at MCRD San Diego. From there, I went and took the Recon NDOC, and actually it was because a Recon first sergeant came down and talked to us in boot camp. I joined to go to the Marines Recon community. I passed the NDOC. At SOI, I took the NDOC. And then I checked into First Recon Company in 95. Oh, absolutely rewarding, because went there, was at First Recon Company. I just always kept volunteering, trying to go more and more. First Recon Company, and then had some friends that got orders to Okinawa, and they were married, and they didn't want to go, so I volunteered to take the guy's orders, and I went to Okinawa and went over there to 5th Force Recon Battalion, which was only in existence for a very short time, and then we redesignated to 3rd Recon Battalion, but I was in the force platoon for them, the long range reconnaissance, was a team leader there. Then went back to 1st Recon Battalion because they had redesignated at the time I left. Was at 1st Recon Battalion. Had the opportunity to go over to 1st Force Recon, so I went over to 1st Force Recon and checked into 5th Platoon. And then did a deployment with them, and then came back, and I think it was maybe 12 days after the deployment, we flew back over and did the invasion for Iraq, and then came back from the invasion. I wanted to move on and try other things, so I went to first SOTG, was an instructor there. From there, I went and took a selection, and I moved on to a special missions unit for the National Mission Force, and then spent the rest of my career over there working for them. And it was kind of weird. I started having a weird pain. Not pain, it was more of like my leg wasn't working that right. Left leg. Came back a little bit early, like 2 days off that assessment team. Still did my briefing. Everything was still a team leader running stuff. Started going to see doctors about it. They couldn't find it. First, they were like, hey, you have cancer. September, Friday the 13th. And as I'm driving home, Dr. Wrestler calls me and goes, hey, just so you know, you have cancer. If you had to have cancer, that's the kind of cancer you want because it's curable and all that stuff. And he goes, do you have any questions? I said, well, if you'd waited till Monday, would I have died? And he said, no. I said, then why'd you ruin my weekend? It wasn't that impactful to me, and it still isn't that impactful. It was just a sickness. I had to cure it. I went through it, and that was it. And I got back to work and took a team back out. My whole life has been a life of service. So it didn't stop when I retired. I mean, even when I was working at that organization, I was still tied in with the Recon community and the MARSOC guys, trying to help them train and get better TTPs and how to get better at their job. So to me, it continues on. Even though I'm retired now, I still do independent contracting, and I still work for a lot of those organizations to try and train and pass on the knowledge. So it's the same thing with the MRF. If they have the ability to help people and get the families taken care of, the gold stars, all that stuff, and try and raise money, I'm all about it. And I've just thoroughly been impressed with the way they handle themselves, the way they conduct, how they help people. And I mean that as in, like, they're not just throwing it all around. They're making sure that the people are getting help with the right people, and I think they're very due diligent with how they perform their duties for these soldiers and sailors and Marines, because they've helped out people that were former Marines and in other organizations and stuff. So they are not just a reconnaissance foundation, even though that's the title of them. They help out anybody that's been in that field.
So then I'm introduced to the Recon Foundation by that phone call, and then the first thing I did with them, I think, was a family retreat up in Montana. And that's where, I was with people that I knew prior, but I got to meet and hang out with Pep and realize what a great man he is and what a good human being. And also, of course, a fantastic reconnaissance Marine and a legend in his own right. And I just got the camaraderie and the family and the support that I really needed at that time. And I left that retreat, just my sails were full. I was back. And so I've stayed in contact with them. I've had my daughter out to the family retreat in Destin, and it was wonderful because she finally, for the first time, got to hang out with other children her own age that understood what she goes through with having a reconnaissance Marine as a dad, or a wounded Marine as a dad. And that was, to me, that made me so happy that my little girl could, find some other kids to play with and hang out with. And, they just buddied up like us reconnaissance Marines. When you meet another one, automatically friends. They were automatically friends. I've seen the things that the Recon Foundation does for the Gold Star families and bringing us together at the Recon Challenge, and that's so rewarding to be with the moms and dads and family members of the Marines that we've lost, and to just see them smiling and having a good time and motivating us. I just admire the strength of these parents and these family members who've lost their loved ones. Another reason to take care of myself and to take care of each other, because they love us like their own children.